10,000 years before the Pharaohs, the Sahara was not a desert at all.
A warm, wet world emerged, bringing life to a forgotten horizon. Animals spread across the grasslands, drawing early humans behind them. Nomadic families moved with the seasons, searching for riverbanks. And then they reached the river that would define history.
Here, humans shaped their first tools of permanence.
They studied the rising floods and the land that changed with them.
Small camps became seasonal homes.
And the Nile began shaping their identity.
New ideas bloomed from simple discoveries.
Every year, the river renewed the earth.
And humans learned to plant what they once hunted.
From this, the first roots of agriculture took hold. Clay became storage. Storage became security.
A new way of life settled over the Nile Valley.
Craftsmanship flourished in quiet corners.
Tools became symbols of progress. Knowledge passed from generation to generation.
The river watched it all, silently.
Paths between shelters hinted at early community.
Food no longer depended solely on the hunt.
Villages began to anchor the wandering tribes. Animals were tamed and became partners in survival. Woodwork advanced, refining daily life. The Nile Valley was becoming a cradle of innovation. Humans studied the sun to predict the floods.
Pottery became art and identity.
The first recognizable village emerged, Merimde. Agriculture matured. Harvest replaced hunger.
Stability nurtured population growth.
Artistic expression deepened cultural roots.
Homes grew sturdier, and so did society. Trade networks stitched the Nile together.
Nature moved in harmony with humanity. A new culture emerged, the Badarians. Their pottery became renowned across Egypt.
Linen, the cloth of ancient Egypt, was born here. Spirituality grew from nature and night skies. Identity was expressed through color and ceremony.
The river was now a sacred lifeline. As farms expanded, so did the need for leadership. Elders guided harvests, trade, and rituals.
Symbols of authority quietly appeared.
Villages formed alliances, shaping early territories.
The river carried more than water. It carried identity. Community structure advanced, hinting at future cities. Surplus food meant security and ambition. Daily life settled into a predictable rhythm. Populations grew, complexity followed. Trade agreements laid foundations for diplomacy. Territories needed protection, without conflict shown. Organized groups formed, symbols of emerging leadership.
The Nile divided two growing regions.
Local chiefs sought influence through alliances.
Spiritual traditions merged into a shared belief. Symbols of authority became more defined.
Influence spread gently across the valley. Two lands, two identities, one river. The dream of unification quietly grew. Leaders prepared to bring the two lands together through diplomacy and power. As centuries passed, villages grew stronger along the Nile.
Food no longer came from chance, but from careful work.
The silt of the Nile became more valuable than gold.
Craftsmanship flourished. Pottery became an art of identity. Trade wove distant families into a single growing culture. And with each lesson, the idea of Egypt quietly formed.
Two worlds emerged along the Nile, north and south.
The river connected them more than any road ever could. Small shrines honored unseen forces: life, river, sky. But the land also tested them, with seasons of harsh change. Once again, the Nile became the only refuge. Leadership grew from knowledge, not force. Symbols appeared, small marks that meant belonging.
Cooperation shaped the rhythm of daily life.
The land was no longer scattered tribes. It was becoming a nation. Agriculture reached new mastery. Linen, Egypt's first gift to the world, emerged.
Beauty became part of identity and daily life.
The Nile fed body and belief.
Even death was treated with dignity and meaning. Innovation reshaped survival. Community became the core of strength.
In the south, powerful alliances began to form.
Egyptian craftsmanship refined into elegance.
Sails transformed travel, connecting worlds.
In the north, a different culture flourished.
Nature and spirit merged into belief.
The first sparks of writing appeared.
South stood behind a single leader. And thus began the world's first great civilization. Trade expanded Egypt's reach beyond its borders. Astronomy shaped the calendar that guided life. Architecture began with ideas drawn on earth.
Spirituality became ceremonial.
Symbols of power began to appear. Two lands grew. Two destinies formed. Skill, discipline, and unity shaped their future.
A new leader rose, one who sought unity.
Change moved quietly through the river valleys.
Two crowns, two powers. A vision formed to unite the two lands. South stood behind a single leader.
And the North guarded its ancient traditions.
The idea of Egypt grew stronger than division. Belief guided what politics could not. The river wished for unity and inspired its people.
A peaceful consolidation began. One people, one culture. And slowly, the two lands drew closer.
A single king for a single Egypt. Unity became destiny.
A new capital emerged, Memphis, heart of a nation.
And thus began the world's first great civilization. A united Egypt, awakened with new purpose. Order and measurement became the language of the kingdom.
Kings now ruled not just land, but destiny.
Writing became the heartbeat of administration.
Trade kept the young kingdom alive.
Kings sought eternal homes worthy of their power.
Mathematics became a tool of survival.
A strong workforce required a strong foundation.
Art became memory, carved in color.
The river's rhythm guided all life.
Each new ruler strengthened the throne.
The heavens became their guide.
Innovation refined the kingdom's strength.
Monument building grew bolder. History became art, and art became history.
The capital thrived as cultures blended.
A new idea, bigger than anything before, was forming.
A king of innovation rose. Djoser. Beside him, a genius, Imhotep.
Together, they would change the world forever. What began as a simple mastaba
soon reached toward the sky. Thousands worked willingly, fed, housed, respected. Precision guided every stone. The world's first pyramid took form. Planning became as sacred as prayer.
This was a society built on cooperation.
Egypt dared to build on a scale unseen before. A king watched his legacy rise.
humanity's first colossal stone monument.
His creation inspired generations. Then came Sneferu, ambitious, visionary. He began his bold experiments in stone.
New ideas required new techniques.
Architecture pushed past old limits.
Sneferu refined his vision once again.
Bold, unprecedented, beautiful.
The surface gleamed like white sunlight. A king unrivaled in ambition. A masterpiece of learning. And then, the perfect pyramid began. A logistical triumph of human coordination. Mathematics guided every choice. Structure became science.
The first true smooth-sided pyramid. Astronomy shaped architecture itself.
A golden age of engineering had begun. And into this world stepped Khufu. Here, he envisioned the impossible. A monument beyond imagination. The Great Pyramid began.
Not slaves, craftsmen, farmers, builders. Tools, simple yet effective.
Logistics on a scale never seen again.
A city built to support builders of eternity.
Unity powered the impossible. North, south, heaven, earth. The desert bowed to geometry. White limestone reflected the sun like a beacon. A wonder for all ages. A king etched into eternity. Legacy expanded beyond the king alone. A living city behind a timeless monument.
Egypt recorded its world with beauty.
Science kept the kingdom in harmony with the heavens.
As above, so below.
Wealth flowed through Egypt like the Nile itself.
Knowledge was sacred.
Art reached new levels of mastery.
The age of pyramids reached its height.
Kingship became cosmic.
To carry kings into the afterlife.
Spirituality became part of everyday life. Knowledge flowed through ink and reed.
The Nile determined everything, prosperity or struggle. Art spoke the language of memory.
The kingdom thrived on grain and unity.
Order, Ma'at, kept chaos away. Monument building never ceased. The river remained Egypt's true highway.
But nature also tested the kingdom.
The heavens offered guidance. Leadership ensured survival. Slowly, the age of great pyramids faded.
Resources stretched thin.
Strain touched every corner of the kingdom.
The river's rhythm no longer obeyed.
Unity wavered.
Power began to fragment.
Yet the monuments endured, untouched by time. Even as kingdoms faltered, their legacy remained unbroken.
A dialogue between earth and sky.
Knowledge survived when power did not. Faith held the people together. This was the world they built, stone by stone. Generation.
Their age ended.
But a new chapter awaited Egypt.
One shaped not by stone,
but by ideas.
Knowledge would guide the next age.
Egypt was about to transform.
A kingdom reborn from its own legacy. Life always returned.
Hope always endured.
a civilization forever changed.
A new age begins. This was the age of the pyramids. The river that fed a kingdom failed.
The old kingdom trembled. Hunger whispered across villages. No floods, no signs.
A quiet collapse began.
Systems built over centuries eroded.
Scrolls filled with warnings.
Regional lords sensed weakness.
Unity fractured.
A golden age dimmed.
The floods vanished again. Life thinned. People searched for survival. The land could not sustain them.
Egypt split into rival powers.
Nature itself felt hostile.
Belief strained. Order was slipping.
Fields turned to dust.
All signs pointed downward.
Even ink became scarce.
Daily life fragmented.
People dreamed of greener lands.
History itself seemed to erode.
An age was ending. Diplomacy replaced unity. Each region guarded its grain.
Divisions deepened.
New power centers formed.
Authority shifted.
Power was now in the hands of the provincial governors.
Trade became territorial.
The sacred dimmed.
Boundaries reshaped identity.
Every measure mattered.
People endured quietly. Dozens of leaders, one fractured land.
Egypt glowed in fragments.
Time offered no mercy.
The old order faded. Communities tightened.
Creativity survived.
Memory held the kingdom together.
Hope took small shapes.
Knowledge still passed on.
People supported one another.
Rebuilding began slowly. Faith shifted inward.
Life adapted.
Community lit the darkness.
Unity found new forms. Signs of abundance returned.
Color came back.
Egypt breathed again. A new chapter formed quietly.
A southern city awakened. A new vision formed.
Leadership returned. Thebes became a refuge.
Abundance regrouped.
Culture blossomed again.
Spiritual life rekindled.
Identity strengthened.
Hope gained direction.
A new generation prepared.
Unity returned in pieces. Nature finally eased.
Life renewed.
Symbol of rebirth appeared.
Momentum built. A leader destined for restoration.
Alliances formed.
Resistant regions reconsidered.
Infrastructure revived.
Unity was the goal.
People leaned toward order.
Stability returned.
Gratitude filled shrines.
Movement resumed.
Record keepers smiled once more.
He understood Egypt deeply. Spiritual unity grew. The land connected again.
Faith was strong.
A golden moment returned.
Community healed.
The river blessed Egypt again.
Structures rose anew.
History guided rebirth. Commerce unified the land.
Knowledge flourished. Construction echoed old power. A symbol of national healing. Leadership grew confident. The moment had come. Regions moved toward unity. Egypt flowed together.
Blessings prepared the land.
Habit 1. Track every dollar. Money you ignore disappears. Authority centralized.
A unified identity resurfaced.
People felt the change.
Prosperity returned widely.
Egypt rebuilt its soul. A leader stood for all. A new history began.
Faith, unified hearts.
Nature aligned with renewal.
Egypt centered once more.
The dream was complete. The reunifier restored the two lands.
From collapse came rebirth.
A new chapter of Egypt begins.
A king restores unity to the land.
Peace returns to everyday life.
The river blesses Egypt once again.
Writers record the rebirth of harmony.
Hands rebuild the backbone of Egypt. Temples praise the return of balance.
Life rushes back into the streets.
Knowledge becomes Egypt's new treasure.
Poetry begins to shape identity.
An official begins an unexpected journey.
A message shakes his world. Fear pushes him into the unknown.
Under the stars, he questions his fate.
Strangers welcome him with kindness.
He learns a new way of living. A new life grows far from home. But the heart remembers its homeland. A royal invitation changes everything.
He chooses to return. Forgiveness welcomes him home.
A journey ends with grace. His story becomes Egypt's classic literature.
Generations learn from his path. A timeless lesson in loyalty.
A new wave of temple design begins. Stones prepared for sacred places. The river carries Egypt's future. Walls grow toward the heavens. Art shapes the divine. A sacred peace fills the air. Sunlight crowns the sacred. Nature becomes part of worship. Nature becomes part of worship.
People gather in gratitude.
Tradition grows deeper.
Young minds join sacred service. Architecture meets light. Royal vision guides creation.
Detail becomes devotion.
Beauty fills sacred spaces.
Another masterpiece stands complete. Egypt honors its builders. Night falls on a living monument. Devotion renews with every sunrise. Gold becomes the language of honor. Color is crafted with patient hands.
Life thrives where peace is planted. Poetry becomes part of worship.
Light spreads through every home.
Egypt enters a golden calm. Commerce begins to bloom. The river becomes a highway of trade. Egypt prepares gifts for far lands. Southward, routes open once more.
Old allies greet with joy.
Nubia shares its treasured wealth.
Every exchange carefully documented.
Luxury flows north to Egypt. Friendship strengthens across borders.
Beyond the Red Sea lies Punt, land of wonders. The journey carries hope.
At last, Punt's golden shores.
Sacred gifts trade hands.
A treasure prized by temples.
Aromatic riches fill the decks.
Egypt carries home the gifts of Punt.
Storms test the traveler's courage. Still, the voyage continues. Egypt welcomes its explorers home. Wealth flows back into the kingdom. Gifts enrich sacred halls. New scents shape Egyptian life.
History records every journey.
Trade reshapes daily life.
Prosperity flows from every direction.
Innovation guides the builder's hand.
Precision becomes Egypt's pride. Nature inspires every form. Structures grow more complex.
Ingenuity lifts the impossible.
Color reaches new heights. Water management becomes art.
Architecture becomes narrative. Order defines beauty.
Joy crowns every achievement. Royal approval inspires more progress. Light becomes part of design.
Art gains new colors.
Craft becomes sharper. Nature and architecture unite.
Knowledge becomes infrastructure.
Time is measured with elegance.
Comfort shapes design. Beauty honors harmony. Innovation becomes identity.
A new literary era begins.
Wisdom travels from hand to hand.
Knowledge finds a home.
Advice becomes immortal. Texts teach how to live well.
Precision carries wisdom.
Lessons echo across generations.
Wisdom lives in every home.
Ideas grow through conversation.
Stories preserved for centuries ahead. Words shine brighter than gold.
Egypt trains wise rulers.
Wisdom becomes architecture.
Knowledge shapes destinies.
Memory becomes a shared treasure.
The age of wisdom leaves a radiant mark.
Golden Egypt closes, but its light continues. Egypt enters an age of fear. Strangers from the east arrive, the Hyksos. Their weapons were unlike anything Egypt had seen. They studied the delta, fertile, open, vulnerable.
Life in Egypt continued as usual, but change approached.
The newcomers built homes, blending in quietly.
Trade opened the gates before armies did. Technologies flowed into Egypt, and so did influence. Some Egyptian nobles welcomed the outsiders. Others resisted and faced consequences.
The Hyksos brought a creature Egypt had never mastered, the horse.
With horses came the chariot, a revolution on wheels. Speed, power, precision. Egypt was stunned.
Their armies suddenly looked ancient.
Avarice becomes the heart of Hyksos power. Territory after territory fell into their hands. The South learned of the threat too late. They adapted to Egypt, and Egypt slowly changed. Their military advantage was overwhelming. Conflict erupted across Lower Egypt. Egypt's rulers were pushed south. Memphis, once a royal seat, fell into foreign hands.
The Hyksos declared themselves Pharaohs.
Egypt became a divided land. But in the south, resistance was growing.
A child of destiny was rising. Ahmose. The Hyksos strengthened their grip.
Prophecies foretold a liberate.
The Hyksos chariot corps dominated the north.
Egypt began learning from its occupiers.
Innovation sparked in the south.
Egyptians adapted to horseback skills quickly. Allies from the south strengthened the resistance.
Hope spread across Upper Egypt.
The first cracks appeared in Hyksos control. Strategy replaced fear. Egypt mastered the chariot at last.
The Hyksos realized resistance had evolved.
The march for liberation had begun. A leader ready to reclaim Egypt.
Whispers spread. Foreign armies were on the move.
Riders, unlike any seen before, entered Egypt's edges.
The animal that stunned Egyptian eyes, the horse.
Chariots! Fast! Lethal! Revolutionary!
Egypt's old defenses fell faster than ever before. Villagers escaped as the delta shifted under foreign rule. Avarice became their stronghold, the seat of Hyksos power.
Their rule was organized, tactical, and ambitious.
New trade routes flourished under Hyksos influence.
Technology advanced. Bronze tools reshaped warfare. Technology advanced. Bronze tools reshaped warfare.
Composite bows. Stronger, farther, deadlier.
Temples trembled as Egypt's identity faced crisis. Chariot warfare became the new master skill.
But Egyptians were learning too, quietly.
Thebes refused to bend, a spark of rebellion.
Revolution whispered through Theban streets. Taxes grew heavy. Resentment grew heavier. Leaders emerged, bold, angry, ready. Ordinary people prepared for extraordinary struggle.
The invaders strengthened their grasp.
Information became Thebes' sharpest weapon. They studied enemy tools, then improved them.
The art of war evolved rapidly.
All of Egypt participated, silently, bravely. Their confidence grew. A generation raised under foreign rule.
Choices sharpened. Thebes chose resistance.
A leader prepared to risk everything.
The rebellion formally began.
The invaders underestimated Thebes.
The first spark of victory. A stolen chariot changed everything!
They copied the design and made it lighter.
Egypt began mastering chariots themselves.
Practice turned into deadly precision.
The invaders realized Egypt was no longer afraid.
War was inevitable!
The spirit of Egypt awakened.
A journey toward liberation began. The clash that would reshape Egypt approached. Thebes searched for every weakness in Hyksos lines. The enemy watched, confident in foreign walls. Engineers learned from each bolt and beam. Stronger weapons began to change the balance.
Step by step, the South reclaimed lost ground.
Every home carried the weight of hope.
Prayers rose for strength in the battles ahead.
Rumors spread of Thebes gaining courage. Warriors learned to ride faster, strike cleaner. Their bronze burned brighter than before. The invaders prepared for a long rule. But Thebes planned a different future. Even blessings became part of war. Even blessings became part of war. Sunrise meant movement, training, discipline. Across the land, two worlds mixed uneasily.
Old borders dissolved as power shifted.
Every detail mattered in the coming storm.
The invaders sensed Thebes closing in.
A new identity was being forged in courage. Night before battle, the land held its breath. Dawn arrived like a silent signal. The North braced for another rebellion. Orders passed quietly, but carried loudly. Speed became their greatest teacher. The invaders stood ready to resist. Even the skies watched the turning tide.
Egypt had learned the enemy's greatest weapon.
Pharaohs prepared.
This moment would define generations.
Two powers charged toward a future neither could predict.
The land trembled with ancient thunder. A new leader would change everything.
A new dawn rose over Egypt, and with it, destiny.
Centuries of struggle now pointed toward one moment. Foreign powers had arrived with strange new beasts. Thebes prepared for a challenge unlike any before.
The Hyksos still ruled the delta, their shadow long. Messages from the north carried warnings of change.
Even the land felt the tremor of an empire shifting.
Egypt turned to its gods to guide the coming storm.
A young king stood ready to reclaim the nation. From these lands, a new empire would rise.
Egypt prepared, not with fear, but precision. The chariot, a foreign invention, became Egypt's weapon.
Innovation turned craftsmen into architects of power.
Speed would decide the future. And blessings were asked for every step Egypt would take. Change swept in like the desert wind, relentless. Strategy blended with science. Egypt redefined war.
Night became the Council of Kings.
Preparation stretched from river to desert.
Egypt gathered strength from every corner. Every hand shaped the coming empire.
Thebes transformed into a city of purpose.
Word traveled faster than armies.
Even the heavens were consulted for guidance.
Egypt's identity sharpened, unyielding.
The land whispered news of movement in the north. Egypt's flame of ambition burned brighter. The foundations of an empire were set.
Thutmose's empire stretched like never before.
His armies crossed rivers once thought impossible.
Nations sent tribute, acknowledging Egypt's unmatched power.
He ruled not only through force, but through strategy.
Yet Egypt still remembered the queen who built peace. Hatshepsut's legacy stood in stone.
The gods were thought to choose Egypt's rulers. A warrior pharaoh rose, fierce and unstoppable. Speed became Egypt's new weapon. His victories struck fear across borders. Peaceful exchanges fed Egypt's wealth.
History was carved to make victories eternal.
The divine guided Egypt's every decision. Celebrations filled Egypt with life.
Then came a king whose reign shined like the sun.
Amenhotep III transformed Egypt into a monument of beauty.
By his side stood Tie, powerful, intelligent, respected.
Egypt bloomed in peace and luxury. But behind the beauty, the gods held power. A prince looked to the sun and questioned everything. He shattered traditions that stood for centuries. He built a city for one god alone, Aten.
At his side stood Nefertiti, elegance made human.
Art changed, more human, more emotional. But Egypt's old faith prepared to strike back.
The Sun King fell, his revolution fading.
A boy king rose to restore Egypt's ancient balance.
The old gods returned, stronger than ever.
Tutankhamun worked to undo years of chaos. Temples revived their ancient colors. Egypt returned to its traditions and its pride. The revolutionary era faded into whispers. Tutankhamun was young, but Egypt guided him. Stability returned. Prosperity slowly followed. The gods once again smiled upon Egypt. And then, a king died too soon. His death marked the end of a fragile restoration. Horemheb rebuilt Egypt's justice and strength. The army became the backbone of the nation.
Diplomacy and discipline shaped Egypt's future.
A child destined for greatness began his training. Seti restored Egypt's borders and its pride.
His victories were etched into eternity.
Then came Ramses, a king who would shape legend. He forged Egypt into a military powerhouse.
And he dreamed of monuments beyond imagination. A new age of stone giants began.
But danger rose in the north. The Hittite Empire prepared to challenge Egypt.
Ramses answered with unmatched determination. Egypt marched into history's most famous chariot battle.
The Hittites struck first. Chaos erupted.
Ramses fought with a fury that became legend.
Fresh Egyptian forces reached the front, shifting the balance of the day.
Neither side won, but both survived.
The first peace treaty in history sealed their legacy.
Peace reshaped diplomacy across the ancient world.
Egypt immortalized the accord in stone.
Ramses built a new capital of immense ambition. The city pulsed with life, commerce, and power.
He ruled not only with strength, but with vision.
The mountain itself bowed to his legacy.
Egyptian influence reached far beyond its borders.
Love and honor were carved into eternity. Trade enriched Egypt's coffers and culture. For decades, Egypt flourished under his long rule.
A king grew old, but his monuments endured.
With his passing, an era ended.
The empire began to strain under its own weight.
Successors struggled to maintain the power Ramses forged. Climate shifts tested Egypt's stability.
A new threat sailed from distant shores.
Ramses III stood against the storm.
The battle would decide Egypt's fate.
Strategy triumphed over chaos.
Victory came, but at a heavy cost. The empire was saved, yet weakening.
Internal betrayal shook the throne.
Another great pharaoh fell. Corruption spread as the central power faded. Authority fractured across the land.
Even the dead were no longer safe.
Religion rose where kingship collapsed.
The empire that once ruled the world faded into twilight.
The glory of Egypt dimmed as the new kingdom fell.
Power shifted into the hands of the Amun priesthood. Egypt split into north and south, two worlds, one nation.
The priests became kings in all but name.
Far territories slipped away under foreign pressure.
People felt the collapse more than the rulers. A religious bureaucracy replaced royal command.
Across the delta, Libyan clans grew influential.
They were hired as protectors and soon became rulers. They were hired as protectors and soon became rulers. The true decisions of state came from temple walls.
Weak leadership threatened Egypt's lifeline, its waters.
Diplomacy failed as Egypt lost prestige abroad. Libyan factions clashed for control of the delta.
The priests managed the nation's wealth.
Borders weakened, and Egypt turned inward. Only the Nile remained constant in a changing land. Religion flourished, even as politics crumbled.
The Libyan presence grew deeply rooted.
The throne commanded respect, but little power.
Even the priesthood fractured into rival houses.
Egypt survived through craftsmanship, not conquest.
New threats emerged from every frontier.
The people defended themselves as best they could.
Libyan dynasties began forming their own lineages.
Temple wealth outgrew royal treasury by far.
Foreign guardians became familiar rulers. Foreign guardians became familiar rulers. A Libyan king finally claimed the throne of Egypt.
Libyan rule hardened Egypt's military strength. Foreign states sought favor with the new dynasty.
Egypt prepared to reclaim influence abroad.
Shoshenq's forces carved their path through the Levant. His victories were carved forever into temple stone.
Libyan clans became Egypt's new aristocracy. But unity soon collapsed beneath rivalry.
The land divided into competing local dynasties.
Ambition replaced loyalty.
The South rejected Libyan rule. Religion again became a shield for power.
Politics ran on wealth more than authority.
Trade weakened under constant fragmentation. Egyptian craftsmanship endured even in decline.
Multiple kings claimed Egypt at once.
Foreign powers sensed vulnerability. Internal divisions eroded their rule. Symbols of power shattered across the land.
Meanwhile, a rising force grew in the south.
Kush prepared for a destiny intertwined with Egypt.
Thebes found new allies in Nubia.
Shared traditions brought the two cultures together. The North feared a new power rising.
Kushite warriors prepared for a greater purpose. Prophecy whispered, "A king shall rise from the south." Kushite leaders prepared to answer that calling.
The stage was set for a Nubian takeover. The Nubians watched Egypt and saw opportunity.
Trade routes revived under Kushite protection.
Meanwhile, Libyan nobles argued endlessly over power.
The priesthood sought stability, even from the south.
A young prince prepared for a destiny far greater than Kush.
Egypt's people suffered as rival rulers drained their wealth. Napata grew into a spiritual powerhouse.
Even soldiers sensed where true strength was rising.
Records spoke of a coming shift in divine favor. Records spoke of a coming shift in divine favor. Kushite forces strengthened with every passing season. Even cities questioned if Egypt could survive divided.
Pie knew his moment was drawing near.
In the north, kingship itself had lost its glory. You gods of Kush placed their trust in Pie.
Plans were laid to restore order to the land of the Nile. Egypt yearned for unity, even if from the south. The Nubians crossed the Nile with purpose. He offered peace to those willing to submit.
But one man, Tefnacht, refused to bow. The campaign began with steady victories. One by one, Egypt's towns welcomed the Nubian king. Thebes embraced the Kushites as rightful restorers.
Only the Delta still resisted the coming change.
The fight for Egypt's future reached its climax.
Two visions of Egypt faced one another.
But the will of Kush proved unbreakable.
Resistance collapsed as its leader abandoned the fight.
Pie became master of all Egypt, south and north.
Assyria demanded submission. Egypt refused. Their first invasion began, but Egypt still stood firm. The Nubian pharaohs pushed them back. But the empire of Assyria did not forget.
A second storm marched toward Egypt.
This time, they came prepared.
Egypt met them with all its remaining strength.
The people braced for disaster. Assyria overwhelmed the Delta cities.
Memphis fell. The heart of Egypt trembled.
Pharaoh Taharqa refused to surrender. Assyria declared victory too early.
The Nubians rallied for one final stand.
This period brought rapid changes across the land.
Thebes, the holy city, suffered greatly.
The Nubian dynasty withdrew, not defeated, but displaced.
A new power rose, the 26th dynasty of Sais.
For a moment, Egypt breathed again.
Under Psamtik I, Egypt revived its ancient pride.
New ideas flowed in. Egypt opened to the world.
Art regained its former beauty.
But new threats gathered beyond the sea.
Babylon tested Egypt's resolve.
Amasis restored strength, the last great pharaoh. A new presence began to take shape in the region. Persia set its eyes on the Nile. And in 525 BCE, the final storm arrived. Thus ended the age of the pharaohs. But Egypt's soul endured, everlasting, unbroken. The new kingdom's glory dimmed. Egypt entered an age of uncertainty. Power slowly shifted from pharaohs to priests. The Amun priesthood grew richer than the kings they served. Ramses II struggled to hold his kingdom together. Civil authority clashed with spiritual power. Egypt split into two power blocks, North versus South. Temples owned nearly half the nation's wealth. Over time, resources shifted and influence took new forms.
The symbols of kingship weakened, yet the past still demanded respect.
In times of scarcity, priests became the protectors of the people. Their wealth and influence were unmatched. Political unity fractured, and trust dissolved. Communication between regions became strained. The Nile's unpredictable behavior worsened instability. Trade collapsed, leaving Egypt isolated. Pharaohs still ruled in name, but held little real power.
Religion remained the heart of Egyptian life.
People turned to priests, not kings, for solutions. A new power figure emerged, Herihor. A priest who acted like a king, without the throne.
Military loyalty shifted away from the pharaoh.
Egypt formally split into two rival kingdoms.
daily life became tangled in political barriers.
Temples glowed with life, while royal halls fell silent. Priests took over functions once reserved for kings. Egypt's influence beyond its borders faded rapidly.
Ordinary Egyptians felt the weight of the changing world.
Faith remained strong, even as the kingdom weakened. In this era, leadership roles in Upper Egypt continued to evolve. In the north, rulers tried to stabilize life through strict reforms. Economic hardships remained visible in every village. Egypt's frontiers weakened, opening doors to foreign ambitions. Libyan tribes slowly entered and settled Egyptian lands.
At first, their presence felt peaceful, even helpful.
But over time, Libyan chiefs gained political influence. Northern politics became a complex mix of cultures and ambitions. Temple taxation weighed heavily on ordinary Egyptians. The priesthood ruled with both faith and bureaucracy. Pharaohs still built grandeur, but true power had slipped away. Infrastructure projects struggled to keep pace with decline. Egypt's once smooth trade networks became unpredictable.
Local religious practices grew as national unity faded.
The government relied increasingly on Libyan warriors. Cultural blending reshaped the face of Egypt.
Libyan chiefs gained legal authority within delta towns.
Southern Egypt continued to operate as a priest-run state. Frontier defenses weakened as resources dried up. Merchants faced rising dangers and unpredictable taxes. Egypt quietly looked south for allies. In the Delta, power shifted firmly into Libyan hands. New leaders emerged, ambitious, foreign-born, and determined.
People questioned whether the country could be whole again. Libyan influence extended into religious life as well.
By mid-century, Libyans dominated northern politics. The South prepared to defend its identity at any cost. A new storm approached. Egypt's next transformation was near.
Egypt shrank, year after year.
Libyan families now controlled the Delta with confidence.
Among them rose a commander with grand ambitions, Shoshenq.
Meanwhile, the South braced for inevitable conflict. Daily life mixed cultures into something new and unstable.
He had the soldiers, and soon, the throne.
Thebes struggled to maintain spiritual authority.
A Libyan dynasty had begun.
He extended Egypt's reach through bold foreign expeditions.
For the first time in decades, wealth flowed northward again. In the south, temples watched the new power with caution.
Resistance remained, but weakened. The Libyan pharaohs engraved themselves into Egypt's legacy.
The armies blended cultures more than any temple could.
Heavy taxes returned, rebuilding the state and burdening the poor.
A divided prosperity took shape. Even kings struggled to control the priesthood. Shoshenq restored parts of Egypt's old military pride. But Thebes countered with the power of faith.
Diplomacy replaced battles temporarily. His victories immortalized in bold hieroglyphs. Within 2 centuries, the foreign became familiar.
But unity was fragile and slipping. Neighboring empires sensed opportunity.
The delta fractured into competing factions.
The south tried to reclaim its ancient authority. Egypt relied more on outsiders than ever before.
A greater threat drew near, from even farther lands. Storms gathered over a weakened throne.
Egypt split among competing kings. Thebes insisted only the gods could unite the land. From the south, a new force approached.
Kashta dreamed of restoring order under his banner.
His warriors trained with fierce unity.
Thebes sought protection from the Nubian kings.
And so, the Nile carried a new dynasty upstream.
A symbolic victory. As religion fell into Nubian hands. Egypt's rulers fought each other, blind to the coming wave.
Pi believed Egypt deserved unity, not chaos.
He marched not to conquer, but to restore. Egypt welcomed him more than it resisted.
He honored Egypt's faith more than its own kings had done.
His words celebrated victory without cruelty. Under the 25th dynasty, Egypt breathed again. Monuments rose with new life.
Yet beyond the desert, an empire watched.
The world's most ruthless army prepared for war. Egypt met a terrifying enemy.
For the first time, Egypt fell to a foreign invader.
Its sacred halls echoed with foreign boots. But the Nubian kings would not kneel. The land once unified fell into pieces again. Egyptians fought to reclaim their homeland. Life continued, even under shifting rulers. But a new empire rose, larger than all who came before.
And so, after 3,000 years of glory, the Pharaoh's age came to an end. Egypt's independence trembled as Persia advanced.
A new foreign power claimed the throne of the Pharaohs.
Within months, Egypt's old order shifted. Persian satraps took control of Egypt's heartlands.
The temples survived, but under new masters.
Spiritual authority began to clash with foreign rule.
Heavy taxes weighed on the common people.
Egypt became a strategic front in Persia's vast empire.
Policies changed with every new king in distant lands.
Whispers of rebellion grew.
Hope for freedom came from across the sea.
Egypt prepared to rise.
A bold rebellion erupted, striking the Persian hold.
For 5 long years, Egypt fought fiercely. But Persia's retaliation was overwhelming. Rebellion faded, but not the Egyptian spirit.
Even under foreign rule, culture endured. The world's greatest minds sought Egypt's wisdom. Cultures began to merge.
Ancient rituals kept the past alive.
A sudden spark of victory. Egypt rose again.
For the first time in a century, liberation!
Egypt reclaimed its voice. A powerful new dynasty fought to keep independence.
Art flourished again, a golden echo of the past.
But Persia never forgot Egypt.
The final struggle was approaching.
Returned with devastating force.
At this moment, Egypt experienced a new phase of transition. This moment marked a symbolic shift in Egypt's long tradition.
Here, he envisioned a city unlike any before. A city of knowledge, trade, and power. Cultures blended, stone by stone.
The dreamer died. The dream continued.
His commanders carved the world. Egypt fell to Ptolemy. A new dynasty rose, the Ptolemies. 2 worlds intertwined in daily life. Knowledge became Egypt's new weapon.
The Pharaohs shone as a wonder of the world.
Guiding ships, guiding civilization.
Here, the world's knowledge was gathered. Ideas flourished like the Nile in flood.
The kingdom prospered under blended traditions.
But beneath peace, tensions grew. Some welcomed change. Others resisted.
Old Egypt rose in anger.
The dynasty fought not outsiders, but its own.
The Golden Age began to fade.
And a new power watched from across the sea.
Egypt's rulers grew weak, while Rome grew bold.
Discontent echoed through every street.
Egypt's fate drew closer to Rome's shadow.
But a girl was rising, brilliant, fearless. She learned to charm kings and outsmart them.
Civil war tore the kingdom apart.
At 17, she ascended a throne already breaking.
She knew Egypt's enemies and its weaknesses.
Her brother's council sought to remove her.
Cleopatra was forced into exile.
But exile only sharpened her resolve.
Then Rome's most powerful man stepped into Egypt. The city braced for a new storm.
She knew opportunity had arrived.
She entered Caesar's presence in a way the world would remember.
Boldness became her greatest weapon.
Rome restored her crown for its own purposes.
Her brother's rebellion collapsed.
A child was born, the last king of Egypt.
She dazzled Rome and terrified it.
The dagger that killed Caesar shattered her future. Egypt became her final refuge.
A new alliance waited across the sea.
Antony saw not a queen, but a legend.
Together, they united love and ambition.
Their alliance sought to rival Rome.
A title Rome refused to forgive.
And Rome's new ruler moved against them.
A single battle would decide the ancient world.
Fear and confusion doomed their cause.
Rome claimed victory.
Love ended where empires collide. A queen stood before the man who would erase her kingdom.
She chose her own ending, not Rome's. With her, the last dynasty of Egypt died.
Rome claimed Egypt as a province.
Knowledge dimmed, but never vanished. Ancient Egypt passed into memory, but the river still remembered them.
Their spirits lingered in stone.
A new order ruled the ancient land.
But Egypt had seen empires rise and fall before. Its story was too old to disappear. Historians preserved her legacy. Rome took Egypt's wealth and its soul.
But the people continued, as they always had.
Even conquerors honored its sacred traditions. Egypt adapted, as it always did.
Its light guided the world for centuries. But no empire owns a civilization forever. Life grew from the ashes of an empire. Some things remain eternal. Time covered Egypt, but never erased it. Her reign ended. Her legend did not.
The river carried her memory forward.
The gods stayed, even when their kingdom fell. But victory does not guarantee immortality. Egypt's silence held more power than Rome's noise. Her story echoed across millennia. A chapter ended. A new empire began. But Egypt stayed, older than conquerors. Civilizations fall. Legends remain.
Empires crumble, but Egypt never dies.
Before time had a name, Egypt dreamed of eternity.
Each symbol, a whisper across millennia.
Hands shaped monuments that even ages could not erase. Empires fell. Sand remained. Knowledge became Egypt's truest treasure. Faith guided the hearts of kings and farmers alike.
Stories passed from one generation to the next.
The heavens watched over Egypt, unchanged.
Color survived longer than kingdoms. Faces carved into eternity.
Sent carried prayers to the night sky. The great kings lived on through
Tant. Even in death, Egypt created beauty.
Time tried to erase Egypt.
But Egypt refused to fade.
Hands rebuilt what time tried to claim.
Cultures merged. The legacy only grew stronger.
Old wisdom guarded Egypt's soul.
Knowledge survived because someone protected it.
Even as ages turned, the temple stood watch.
New rulers arrived, yet bowed to Egypt's ancient spirit.
A world of knowledge gathered under one roof. Light-guided travelers from across the world.
Queens shaped the destiny of nations.
Even as empires shifted, Egypt preserved its memory. And as one age ended, the eternal journey continued. A new faith spread across Egypt, carrying echoes of the old tongue. Hieroglyphs evolved, becoming the Coptic alphabet.
Old Egyptian prayers transformed, yet
The ancient temples dimmed as Christianity rose.
The sacred script fell silent, but never forgotten.
A new chapter began with the Arab arrival. Languages blended, forming the Arabic Egypt knows today. A new identity blossomed from the old Nile roots.
A new capital emerged, Al-Qahira, the victorious.
Egypt became a beacon of knowledge once more. Egypt became a beacon of knowledge once more.
Defenders rose to protect Egypt's spirit. Warriors who shaped centuries of Egyptian strength.
Art and craft flourished, echoes of ancient hands. Through every era, Egypt continued to adjust and evolve.
Trade revived. Gold, spices, stories.
A new moment in Egypt's story quietly approached. A key to the ancient world resurfaced.
And at last, the language of the Pharaohs spoke again. And at last, the language of the Pharaohs spoke again. Egypt's buried memories rose from the desert.
Kings, long asleep, returned to the world. A modern nation awakened along the Nile. A boy king revived global wonder.
A new Egypt took its destiny back.
The Nile was mastered like never before.
A nation ancient and modern at once. Egypt preserves its past to guide its future. The stones endure every empire, every age.
Civilizations fall, but Egypt remains eternal.
With Alexander gone, his general Ptolemy shaped a new kingdom, half Greek, wholly Egyptian. A dream rose, a library meant to hold every word ever written. Alexandria became a lighthouse of knowledge before the lighthouse itself.
A marvel of engineering, guiding sailors for centuries.
Queens of the new dynasty ruled with elegance and ambition.
In Alexandria, science bloomed, medicine, mathematics, astronomy.